Hi, welcome to my video on function notation, part 1. Function notation. Function notation is written in the form of f bracket x, g bracket x, h bracket x, p bracket x, etc. Each is read as follows. It's called f bracket x is f is a function of x. F is a function of x or f of x. And g bracket x is g is a function of x or g of x. H of x, h is a function of x or h of x. P bracket x is p is a function of x or p of x. Those are different ways to say it, but most of the time you'll see f of x being used. The only reason these functions are used in function notation is that, as you see, when you name a line by y equals mx plus b, that line could also be named as f of x, p of x, g of x, h of x, or anything. That means you can recognize the different lines. But when you say y equals, then you got to go and look for the right side to see what the line is. Let's continue. The y variable in the equation y equals mx plus b can be replaced with the functional notation. Examples: the y can be written as f of x equals 3x. The y equals 2x plus 1 can be f of x equals 2x plus 1. Or we can say y equals x squared could be g of x equals x squared. Y equals a half x minus 4. H of x is a half x minus 4. Y equals 2 to the power of x could be p of x. So again, what variable you want to use is but the f of x is the most common. So notice y is equal to the f of x. F of x is the same as saying y equals, f of x equals. Note that. An ordered pair, xy, can be written as x, comma, f of x. Notice, I read it out as f of x, g of x, h of x, p of x, and we mean as a function of. So x, comma, f of x, because the y is the same as the f of x, and I'll explain that as we go in the video. Note, f of x is the y value of an ordered pair. Very important to recognize that. And just to mention, if we're doing graphs and have axes, this axis is normally x and y on a graph. But if we're using function notation, this axis is still x, but this one is the f of x. F of x. So notice y is the f of x, the vertical axis. Okay, let's continue. Do some examples, different types of questions. State the value of x in each function notation. Number 1, this is the f of 2, so that means x is 2. Notice f of x is 2. F of 0, x is 0. G of negative 3 means x is negative 3. P of x means x is 6. Again, P of x is 6. The G of x is negative 3. The F of x is 0. So pause your video and see if you can get these 4 answers right and play it back. The H of negative 1, x is negative 1. X is 4. F of 1/4, x is 1/4. the v of 0 means that x is, excuse me, 0. Express each as x, comma, f of x. So the f of x is 3. So this y value is the f of 3. The f of negative 2, x is negative 2, and this is f of 2x, because the f of 3x is your y value. So that's x and that's a y, so that's your y value. X of a half, x is a half, and that's the f of 1/2. The t of negative 4, x is negative 4, t of negative 4. So we're stressing that the h of a half is the y, the f of negative 2 is the y, the f of 3 is the y, the t of negative 4, that's your y value in your ordered pair. And again, practice means work these out, play them back when you get them done. So x is negative 9, and that's the f of negative 9. X is 5, and that's the p of 5. G of 4 over 7, x is 4 over 7, g of 4 over 7. X is 7, and that's the h of 7. Another type of question, different questions as we go here. Write each as an equation with the function notation. So, an equation would be that if x is 2, I could say that the f of 2 is 6, because x is 2, so the f of 2 is the y value, which is 6, because that's an x and that's a y. And here we have x is negative 1, so an equation, the f of negative 1, which is my y value, is 8. So there's the y value is 8, and the y value is equal to the f of negative 1. C, x is 0, so the f of 0, which is x, is my y value of negative 4. So the f of 0 is the negative 4. And right here, we have x is 1/3, and the f of 1/3 is my y value, so that's equal to 27. Practice means pause your video and see if you can work these out right. So the f of negative 3 is your y value of 9. So x is negative 3, y is 9, because the f of x. See, that's x, f of x. And the f of x, which is 1/4, is the y value, because the f of 1/4 is your y. And the f of x, which is the f of 5, is equal to 10. And the f of 1, which is your x, is equal to your y value, negative 6. You get used to it. This is the x, and that's the y. Again, if you wrote this one out as an example, that's 1 giving you the f of 1. 1, f of 1, that's the x, this is the f of x, and the f of 1 is your negative 6. And let's continue. More examples, more problems to work out. Find the value of each. This time we have a function f of x, which is x squared plus 2, and we want to find the f of 7. So the f of 7 means x is 7, so I will put a 7 in the place of x. Substitute 7 in. That gives me 7 squared is 49, 7 times 7, so I get a 51. So again, if you think about it, you can think that you have x, just review, x, f of x, that's the same as an x, y, and that's the same as x is 7, and you get a 51. So the f of x is your y value, so that y value is 51. And the f of negative 6, we're putting a negative 6 in the place of x, a bracket, substituting in, so I put a bracket around. I didn't have to put a bracket around the 7, but I am right here, even though it's positive, to show you I'm going to square it. Negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, plus 2 is 38. So the f of negative 6 is 38. So that means that you got x is negative 6 and y is 38, because the f is, you have x and f of x, which is your x and y. So that's your x, negative 6, and that's your y, 38. Think about the ordered pair. B, we have h of x is negative half x minus 5, and the h of negative 6. So that means x, look, h is there, x has to be negative 6. So I'm subbing in negative 6 in the place of x. Negative a half times 6 is 2 into 6 goes 3, so that's negative times negative positive, so it's 3 minus 5, and that's a negative 2. And I'm subbing x is 18, so I'm subbing 18 into here. So put a bracket around in the place of x. And a half of 8, 18 is 9, so that becomes negative 9 minus 5. Negative 9 minus 5, negative 9 plus negative 5 is negative 14. Easy to do, same as before. Just think about it. Let's go back and think about some of these. If you think about it, what you're doing is y equals x squared. So that's f of x equals x squared plus 2 is the same as y equals x squared plus 2. So you are putting you're putting 7 in. So if I give you this equation and I say x is 7, you put 7 in, it works out identical. The two answers are the same. So f of x is your y. Just think of that. Don't forget it. Practice. Work out all of these one at a time. You have plenty of practice here. Pause your video and work them out. Here we go. The g of x, the g of negative 3, x is negative 3. So wherever I see an x, I'm going to put it in brackets, sub it in. There's my negative 3, x squared, 2 times x. Negative 3 squared is a 9. So I do my powers first. Now I have to do the multiplication. That's negative 6, and that gives me a 3. Subbing a 1 in, and 1 in the place of x, 1 squared, 1 in the place of x. And I work out my power first, which is a 1. And I could leave that alone, do my power first. Remember, BEDMAS, B-E-D-M-A-S, or PEMDAS, M-A-S. I could do my power first and leave the multiplication. Then I could do the multiplication next and then get the 3. So I do, there's no brackets to do, but that's done. I do my exponent, which is 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1, so I got that done. Then I do multiplication division next, so I have to multiply these before I add. So I do my power, and then I multiply, and then I add last. Notice the order of operations. Number 2, p of x equals 4x plus 6, and I'm working out the p of negative 5 over 4. So I'm putting a negative 5 over 4 in the place of x. The 4, that's 4 over 1, so the 4's cancel. I get a negative 5 plus 6, which is a 1. And a 2.5, so I'm putting 2.5, which is my x, into, so I'm putting 2.5 in the place of x. 4 times 2.5 is a 10. And add on 6, so I multiply first by, again, BEDMAS. There's no, just to remind you, I have PEDMAS or PEMDAS. I have no brackets. The bracket's already simplified. I have no exponent. So I had to go left to right. I multiply first to get the 10, and then I add to get 16. Number 3, the k of x equals negative 2 times x minus 1. So if I leave it like that, x is 4. So I'm going to sub 4 in the place of x. Notice I put 4 in. I could put a bracket around that if I want. And I have to do BEDMAS or PEMDAS. I have to do the inside of the brackets first. Again, I keep writing this down, but after a while, you should. There's a whole unit that I have on the order of operations in one of the videos. It's extremely important to know how to do bed mass. Extremely important. So I do the inside the bracket first. 4 minus 1 is 3, and then I have to do the inside the brackets. There's no exponent. I have to do multiplication. The only operation left, -6. I'm going to put a -1 in the place of x, so it's a -2. X is -1, so I put a -1 in the place of x, -1. Again, I can put a bracket around that, but it's no need. And I have to do inside the bracket first. That's -1, subtract 1 is -2. Now I multiply to get the 4. And number 4, we have a big, long quadratic because the degree is 2. Notice the degree of this polynomial, degree here is 2. Here is a 1. And this is understood to be x to the 0 as a constant. But the degree of this is a 2 is a quadratic. So we have to put a -6 in the place of x, put in a bracket. We have to put a -6 in the place of x, put in a bracket. And we have to do bed mass. So we have to do, we have 3 different expressions here. So I have to work out this expression here. So I will do there's no inside the bracket to do because there's only one number. So I have to do the power first. So I have to square first. So -6 times -6 is 36. So I have that done. So if you think about it, I did PEMDAS. So the inside the brackets didn't have to do anything. I have to do my exponent next, done. So now I got to do multiplication, division as I go from left to right, as if I'm writing a letter, writing something down. So underline it. I have to do this multiplication. I don't do the addition. I do this multiplication, and I don't do the addition. So I have to do these 2 first, and then add or subtract last. So 3 into 36 goes 12, so that's a -12. 6 into -6 goes -1. And 5 times -1 is -5. And it's 17. So I do the 2 multiplications, done. Now I add. -12, -5 is -17 plus 17. And that gives me a 0 when I work it out. Let's continue. Now, same thing again, only a little bit more to it, just to drive it home. Express each as an ordered pair. Well, if the f of x equals 3x, and if the f of 2 is 3 times 2, and that's a 6. So as an ordered pair, x is 2, and the f of x is 6, because the f of x is your y. Remember, the f of x is your y. And we put 2/3 in here, so 3. X is 2/3. We're multiplying, the 3's cancel, and I get a 2. So the ordered pair here is x is 2/3 and y is 2, because the f of x is your y. And we got a -4, so 3 times -4. Again, x is -4, so we're working on 3x, so 3 times -4 is -12. So the ordered pair is x is -4 and the y is -12. And another one done. That's the g of x is 6x plus 2. So the g of -1, x is -1, sub in. We multiply first. Again, can't do the bracket, no power. We got to multiply before we add. So that's a 6 plus 2. 8. So the ordered pair, x is -1, and the g of x is 8. The ordered pair is -1, 8. because the g of -1 is your y value of 8. And we have a -6. X is 5 over 6, so -6 times 5 over 6 plus 2. We're multiplying, so we cancel, and we get a -1. So -1 times 5 is -5 plus 2 is -3. And the ordered pair, x is 5 over 6, and the y is -3. Just same as we did on the previous question, only now we're asking you to write down the ordered pair. Practice. Pause the video and work these two out and play it back. Then pause it and work these two out and play it back. Or do one at a time, but they're extra practice. Work these out before. Pause the video and work them out to see if you're going to do okay. X is 2, so we sub 2 into place of x and work it out. 20 plus 6, -14. And h is -3/5, so it's -10, -3/5 plus 6. And it's over 1, so we cancel. 5 into 5, 1. 5 into that is -2, so we get a 6 plus a 6 is 12. Oh, I forgot to do the ordered pair. X is 2, y is -14. X is -3 over 5, and y is 12. Remember the h, this value here, when you work it out, x is -3 over 5. This is your y value. Your y value is the h of 2, which is -14. Continue. The p of x is x plus 2 squared, so x is 3. So it's a 3 plus a 2 squared. We work out the inside the bracket first, and we get a 5. 5 times 5 is 25. And the ordered pair, x is 3, y is 25. Again, remind, we have an ordered pair is x and the p of x. So that's 3. Give me the p, make it a p of 3. So that means that there's a 3 and a 25, just to review. The p of x is the p of 3, which is your 25. So that's your p of x, that's your y value. I could have wrote down y equals x plus 2 squared and plugged 3 in and worked it out, same thing. And this one here is x is -6, so we put a -6 in. So I'm subbing -6 in here, and I'm working it out. The inside of the brackets go first, remember? P, B, D, E, D, M, A, S, or PEMDAS. I have to do the inside the bracket first, which is a -4. And then I have to do my power. -4 times -4 is 16. And the ordered pair, x is -6 and y is 16. Number 3, f of x is 2/3 x minus 7, so we got 2/3 x is 3 over 2. We're subbing it in. That all cancels, and I get a 1. Remember, I could go 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 over 6 is 1, or I can cancel them out. So that gives me -6, so the x is 3 over 2, and y is -6. And this one, x is -12, so let's put a -12 in the place of x. So I get 2/3 -12 minus 7. So -12 goes in here, and that's over 1, so I cancel. 3 into 3 goes once. 3 into -12 is a -4, so that's a -8 minus 7. -8 subtract 7 is -15. And so x is -12 and y is a -15. So that's function notation, the first part. There are more parts to come. And if you like my video, put the sheet in. I didn't have it in, but let's put it in. If you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button, because there's click the notification bell because there's more videos coming your way on topics in the higher grades. Write a comment on my video if you wish. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, and you have different sections. Me section talks about my degrees and teaching experience. Video section talks about the strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. And the content section has the topics on my YouTube channel, the number of videos on those topics, and the black font is what's online right now, and the red font is what will be there in the near future. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Bye-bye.